Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. This is Baldur's Gate 3 running on the GPD Win 3. We're going to be taking a look at playing this on a handheld as well as docking it in a little bit and trying to record that output as well and seeing how far we can push this machine. So one thing that I've done really quick is in the settings, if we jump in there real quick. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to point out here when playing CRPGs, especially a newer one like Baldur's Gate 3, we can go ahead and take a look at what these settings will provide us. Now, on this side right over here, there's a few things to kind of work out here. I am using the mouse mode on the GPD Win 3, as that will be the better way to actually use and play CRPGs, and the right analog stick will be the mouse. R2 will speed up the mouse so that you can more quickly move the mouse around. If we go to video, it is at medium settings right now, and I have capped it at 30 FPS, which you can see right here. So capping this at 30, and then this little checkbox right over here, which is obstructed out of the way. There's a little checkbox here that will engage this frame rate cap. Right now, you can see that our overall quality is set to medium. I'm going to go ahead and set that to lowest. So we're at very low. Now take a look at our total system power is 15 watt right now. CPU package power is at 11 watt. Because we're frame capping at 30, we're actually going to be spending less. The other good part here is that I'm not doing anything on the CPU to lower frequency at all. It's because Vulkan is running the backend, it's doing a pretty decent job about not engaging that CPU much at all. When we go to very low settings, we're using about 8.5 watt right now. However, when we look at the screen, you can see that lighting wise and a lot of the effects, it looks non-ideal is the best way to say it. It's devoid of life. There's lacking depth. Shadow and lighting is just kind of way off. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to medium settings. If you wanted to get the most absolute battery life, obviously setting it to very low would be best, because you can see total system power is right now at 15 watt, and that would give us roughly 3 hours of gameplay. But I do want to have a little bit better here, so I'm going to go ahead and set the quality to medium. Okay, and that's done, and we can see how dramatic the difference is. But we're also going to be using a considerable amount more power. We're using about 3 watts more to get here at 30 FPS. Also, when I go to very low, I don't actually even hit 60 FPS, so I'm just forcing myself to hit this 30 frame rate target.
Abomination. This is your end. You are no thrall.
So one thing that it's pretty difficult to actually read this really tiny font on there. And I've gone through the settings real quick and I haven't seen an easy way to increase the font size. So on this tiny little screen, it's actually pretty difficult to read. Now, one of the reasons that I prefer playing CRPGs with the keyboard up and having a keyboard in general is that you can actually quick respond. So you have the numbers 1 through 4 here. So if you just press 1, it would automatically answer. So you don't necessarily need to mouse over and select the option that you want, which is pretty helpful, especially when playing CRPGs in general.
First, we exterminate the imps. Then we find the helm and take control of the ship. We will address the matter of a cure for this infection once we reach the material plane.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and bring in the GPD Win 3 dock. I'm going to go ahead and dock this and connect everything. I'm going to connect it to power. I'm also going to try to boost settings. We're going to do 1080p and see how far we can get. Okie dokie. So here we are. We're docked in right now. It's still 1280 by 720, but we're going to go ahead and increase this to 1920 by 1080. Okay, we are now full screen 1080p. We're still medium settings, but let's see how much CPU package power goes up. We only went up a watt so far, so we'll see how much this affects us. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to hit 30 here all that well at 1080p. GPU power seems to be roughly similar. I'm going to go ahead and just go and take this to lowest right now. Okay, we're still 1080p, but I'm at very low. So let's go ahead and exit this. Go and continue. So that our CPU jumped up real quick, but now it's gone back down. Oh, I have to answer all this again. Man, look how terrible that looks at very low.
This is your end.
Your head throbs and your skin tingles. Visions
Let's...
rush past.
I don't think I want to play on very low. It's awful.
And a flash of your face.
I'll just accept the frame rate hit.
Woman's eyes.
Ugh. My head. What is this?
Remember again, this is 1080p. So we'll go ahead and just skip past this.
Together, we might survive.
Whoops.
You proved surprisingly adequate in battle. Now, to the helm.
Alright, so this has been a relatively quick look at Baldur's Gate 3 and only obviously the very beginning. There was a tremendous amount of effects going on there. I personally would only do medium settings. Doing very low settings is pretty terrible, especially with all the hair and everything else. It's not pretty at all. Medium seems to be the absolute minimum that I would go to. At 1080p, we were getting around 20 frames a second. Medium on handheld 720p, we were getting 30 frames. Sometimes it would dip into 27, but for the most part, it was relatively stable at 30. This is obviously docked right now at 1080p. It's a little bit difficult to see the fonts at on the 5.5-inch screen, so you do have to bring it close to your face to be able to see it. However, using mouse mode on the Win 3 does offer an advantage in that you don't have to, worry about the gamepad mode so much or trying to map stuff to the gamepad. It just kind of works as you would expect, which is one of the benefits of always from the GPD Winline. But that's pretty much my only input with regard to Baldur's Gate 3. I'm excited to look at other CRPGs. I'm going to be taking a look at other games in the future. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.